Welcome back, fellow Dream Warriors, to Riderpiece Theater. Me, Alistair Dayhawk, and tonight, me proud to present Kamen Rider Zeztz, episode 39. The real episode 39, because last week I said episode 39 instead of episode 38. Oopsies, my bad. It is what it is. So, yeah. So, what happened last week? Well, Agent 5 got blown into smithereens, and you have emo Alexis Lee, who hasn't slept in months, got turned into a pile of papers. And you have Baku, who once again regained his broken driver at Kamen and destroys Code Zombia, at least the equipment stuff. The Kamen somehow, someway disappeared. So, in this episode, Baku tells the Black Case File members that the Kamen is gone. However, the effects of the Zombia is gone, so everybody is back to normal. However, the dream is still united. In other words, when people go to sleep, their dreams are connected to other people's dreams. So in other words, mankind is still sharing the same dream. It's almost like, the dreamland has become the real world's reality. Everybody is walking around in the real world, sharing, experiences with other people. And, with dreams, we have our own dreams. Thanks to Code Zombia, everybody's dreams are now connected. They're unified, and there's nothing that you can do about it until, of course, Baku gets a phone call from Zero and tells him that Code is not behind the disappearance of the Kamen. And so we have Zero in English giving Baku his next mission to secure the secret weapon. But of course, Baku was like, I don't understand what you're saying. Sick what? And Zero realized that, oh, right, we're in the real world. Sorry. So he says the mission in Japanese, and he does the I'm on it, and that's how the scene ends. And we go to the next scene after the opening credits, when you see an old man getting released from prison. And let's just call the guy in green Luigi, old Luigi. And he meets up with his brother, Mario. So old Luigi and old Mario. And this is a funny scene because, Luigi gets released from prison for God knows how long his sentence was for robbery, right? And then he gets greeted by his little brother, little Mario. And all of a sudden, Mario tells Luigi here that, hey, now that you're out, we could start stealing again. I'm like, are you serious right now, dude? He just got released from prison. And now you're telling him, hey, let's go back to our old ways of crime and we're going to steal shit. I'm like, wow. At least Luigi, at least at first, just tells Mario, look, I'm not part of that life anymore. I just got released from prison. I want to start a new life. I want to start over. I don't want to go back to that life. Then old Mario reminds him, hey, didn't you have this dream about robbing a car? And then, he brought out his robbery log, and you see pages of, writing of, what they stole, which is like mediocre small stuff from food to even a dishwasher deterrent. Nothing about jewels or robbing banks or robbing paintings. Nothing like that, like the way Zeke did during his dreams in the past, right? Nothing like that. It's like mostly, like I said, soap, vegetables, meat, all those things they stole. And Luigi just like, no. I'm done, and I'm not gonna rob a car, even though it was part of the dream of robbing it. Like, nah. And he walks away from Mario. Then all of a sudden, Mario's arm started to turn into this long shotgun, and then all of a sudden he goes crazy and be like, hey, I'm gonna go and steal shit. Bye-bye. That scene was so weird and for different reasons, like I mentioned before. The old man got released from jail, probably from stealing, and then you have his little brother just waiting for him on the other side and says, hey, let's go back to stealing shit, and let's go rob a car because isn't that part of your dream? Like, are you kidding me? And then all of a sudden, little Mario's arms gets transformed into, like a long gun, and now he decides to, hey, now with this, I could steal like a car for you, and goes off. Yeah. So we go to the next scene, and the PBSB director, Tsukasa, has officially brought back the Paranormal Effects Division, which causes Mulder to just burst into the office and does his victory dance, and then he pays the price by getting a octopus hold by the director. I just find it to be very funny how just Mulder just bursts in there, hears news that the paranormal affairs are coming back, and then he gets greeted by an octopus hold. So we go to the next scene. We continue with Mulder and Scully, and they go to a crime scene, and they were told that this is a robbery scene. Someone stole a car and badly injured the car owner. And then forensics gives Mulder and Scully a bag full of bullets that look like candy bullets. And then Mulder says, this is a work of a nightmare. And I'm like, no shit, Sherlock. Oh my God, this is a nightmare. And I'm like, yeah, of course. Because how can someone make these weird looking bullets? Like, no. So we go to the next scene with Luigi and Mario. Luigi slaps Mario for being a dumbass for violating the code, their code. Their code is basically steal secretly and don't hurt anybody, which, Mario kind of violated. And Mario says, well, I got you your car. I stole your car. And why not let's steal bigger things like jewelry, money from banks, artwork. What else can people steal? I don't know. Like, yeah, I said jewels, money, paintings. Like, what else is there to steal? So he's aiming for bigger things like that. And then all of a sudden, his other arm gets turned into, another piece of the nightmare. And again, Mario, it goes crazy and rides the stolen car, leaving Luigi behind. Luigi is like, I can't believe this is happening. My own little brother is getting turned into a monster right before my eyes, and there's nothing I can do about it. Yeah. And I just got off from jail. And this is happening. What the hell? Yeah, I know. The first day from prison, and your little brother is slowly turning into a monster and stealing shit. Yeah. What a day. We go to the next scene with Nem, and she has noticed the red moon going crazy, assuming that someone is using Somina again. And then Zeke shows up, which shocks Nem, because Nem says, like, wait a minute, you shouldn't even be here. I haven't even thought about you, not even once. And Zeke says, like, no, it's not you. I just manifested myself because apparently the punished ogre has awoken itself. That's why I'm here. And yeah. Then we go to the next scene with Baku, and he gets a call from Mulder and Scully that there is a black case occurring, and he needs to go drive there and meet with them. And then we go to the next scene with Mario and stealing the keys from a dead body, and he tries to take the car, but he can't because he is barricaded because of the cops there. Mulder and Scully is there, and also a couple of cops, and telling this guy to surrender. And then Baku pulls up and he goes in, and then everybody is witnessing the transformation of old man Mario into a full-blown nightmare, which shocks everybody. And then before the nightmare can do anything, all of a sudden this strange symbol from the sky approaches, and it says punishment or guilty, and it does this lightning thing and instantly destroys the nightmare, which shocks everybody. I assume that the punished ogre has something to do with that. How? I don't know, but it had something to do with what Seig said to Nem, saying that the punished ogre has fully awakened. So, yeah. And then, after that, Baku gets a call from Nem telling him about the red moon going crazy, and then Zeke took the phone using the Force and says that the Bad Dream Punishment show is getting started. All the baddies are going to use nightmares to commit crimes and execute them. And this causes Baku to believe that Zeke is the one who stole the capsule and he is the one behind what's going on. And Zeke didn't really respond to that, and he just went along with it by saying, "Yeah, sure, I'm behind of all of this for whatever reason, right?" And he just tells Baku to say, "Hey, come over and stop me if you can. I will see you in your dreams. Ciao." And then he disappears. We go to the next scene with the crazy lady, and the crazy lady looks like she is sick. She is not her usual crazy self. She's getting weaker and weaker every single week. And she starts to notice something is going on in the secret garden, and she assumes that, Nem's subconsciousness is changing. And then Nox says, "I'm going to destroy Zambia," and he leaves. And the crazy lady wonders what kind of bad dreams would Nem will have moving forward. We go to the next scene. Baku goes to the dream world, meets up with Nem, and he tells Nem, "Hey, where is Zeke at?" And Nem's like, "No, he's gone. He was here, but he's gone." And then we see a moment with her feeling all sad. She doesn't know what's happening. And Baku assumes that Zeke is using the power of Zomia to torment Nem. But this is where Nem says, then why would he use something that he does not like? Because Nem is remembering what Zeke said to Zero about, what are you going to do to me now that, Zambia is all about? Because remember, when Zeke first appeared, he told our heroes that the reason behind the creation of Code Zambia was due to the fact that it was Code. Code used Zeke's powers to create that capsule. So that's why Nem says to Baku, I don't think he is responsible for taking the capsule and him using it, because why would he use something that he does not like? And also, she adds that he was the one who helped restore Zetz's power. And this is where Baku gets the impression from them that she thinks that he is a good guy. But Nem says no, he is definitely not a good guy. But it's the nightmare that fused with him that makes him that way. He is a bad guy even before fusing with the punishment ogre. I mean, we've seen it during his origin story. He was killing people in people's dreams, stealing and whatnot. But then when he fused with the ogre, that's when he inherited his powers, he became Dawn, and he became crazier than usual. That's what Nem is trying to say, that he is a piece of shit, But the reason why he is a piece of shit is because of the fusion between him and the nightmare. He's just more crazier that way. And she believes that even Zeke can change. Like, she believes that anybody can change, and which leads to Baku saying that I will make that dream come true. Even though Nem said it herself that she will never forgive Zeke for what he did to her, but she does believe in redemption. And like I said before, Baku says, I will make your dream come true. So I think even he knows that that Zeke can be good. It's just that the nightmare inside of him is making it all cuckoo. But I don't know, guys. Like, me personally, I like Zeke when he first debuted, because he was such a threat that even Code was like, oh man, Zeke is involved. And the lady, when she heard about Zeke getting involved, even she was like, oh great, Zeke, that's the last guy I need to worry about here. So everybody who heard the name Zeke was like, oh shit. But now he's been reduced to a comic relief now. And for those who've seen the episode already knows what's going to happen to him at the very end. And I fear that regardless if he's still fused with the nightmare or not, he has been downgraded. And why do I think so? Well, look what happened to him during the fights between Nox and Baku in this episode. In any case, we go to the next scene with Luigi. And he is greeted by Mulder and Scully, who wants questions about little Mario. And they tell Luigi that his brother is dead, and he killed a guy and tried to steal a car. And of course, Luigi is no snitch, and he is not telling the police anything. And he just walks away while Mulder has this, rice donut or rice cake on his mouth, because, Luigi bought that rice cake. He was eating it, and right in the middle of the questioning, he just takes it and just put it in Mulder's mouth, and that's how it ends. So we go to the next scene with Zeke, and he gets greeted by Nox, who wants Zombia to be handed over to him. But of course, according to Zeke, where's the fun in that? Let us fight for it. And so the fight does happen. You have Kamen Rider Dawn versus Midnight Shadow Nox. And ultimately, Zeke ends up being trapped in an illusion thanks to Nox. So again, this is the first sign of Zeke being downgraded, because before he could go toe-to-toe with Nox and Baku, even before Baku got his final form, that he, without any capsules whatsoever except for his own, he was a major threat. But now, thanks to, the power-ups of Nox and, of course, the return of Extreme, he has been downgraded. Look what happened to Zeke right now. He is trapped in his own illusion. And as Zeke is being trapped in his own illusion, Zeke said something that made Nox pause for a bit. And he says that, hey, I didn't go along with that bad dream to be treated like this. Keywords, I didn't go along with that. And Nox was like, what does he mean by that? And then Baku shows up and realizes something. He says to Nox that, hey, Nem is definitely right. And there's only one way to set him straight. And so he transforms into Extreme, goes inside Nox's illusion. And then we go to the next scene with the fight between Zeke and Baku as Extreme. And at first, Zeke is so happy to see Baku, like, oh my god, Baku-chan, you're here. And then all of a sudden he gets greeted by a punch in the face. So Baku means business. He gave Zeke zero warning, and he just into the attack, and he's just fighting and fighting, not giving Zeke any openings whatsoever, which is highly unusual from Baku, because he usually just doesn't come into a fight all big, like first punch, like this always like he doesn't come off into a fight all vicious like he did here. And this is a problem, like, again, with Extreme. It's so OP that it doesn't matter what Zeke does. Because in this fight scene, there was moments where Zeke tries to turn the tables onto Baku, but then, all of a sudden, Baku decides to outdream Zeke, turns the hands of the dream time, and goes back to where Baku punches Zeke to his jaw. And I mean, once Baku goes extreme, there's nothing one can do. And maybe, just maybe, once he faces the ogre nightmares, I think the ogre nightmares will find a way to counter Extreme's magic somehow, some way. But in any case, about this fight between Baku and Zeke, I mean, it's a no-brainer. It was like a slaughterhouse, even though there was moments where Zeke did try to turn the tables on Baku, but once again, Baku, with his extreme powers, ends up rewinding the time dream, or rewriting the dream to his favor, and Zeke lost. But he didn't defeat him by using extreme. Instead, and this is the weird part here, because we saw him use his new driver, right? The one that he created 20 years ago in Dream Purgatory. All of a sudden, it changed from his second one into the original one all of a sudden. I know, it's weird because there's no explanation of how Baku managed to change from his extreme driver to the original Zeztz driver. And then he uses a form that he hadn't used since its debut, which is Ordom. When is the last time he ever used Ordom? Then, the fight he had with, Minami, and her being turned into a cat nightmare. We haven't seen Ordom since then. And now it makes its triumphant return, only that probably in the last 10 episodes, we will never see it again. Maybe the last episode, I don't know. But we see Ordom once again, and he uses its power to separate Zeke and the punishment ogre. And that's how he won. And so once the battle is over, Zeke comes to and sees the ogre just in spirit mode, and the ogre's like, oh, I'm back. I'm myself again. And then Zeke looks at him and like, hey, what are you doing up there, floating there? Come back to me. Let us fuse again. Like, I need you. Come on. And then this is where we see a divorce. So the punishment ogre just tells Zeke, I don't have any use for you anymore. Your services no longer is required. And just sit there, criminal, because your time for punishment will come sooner than you think, and floats away. And yeah, the ogre and Ziggy are divorced now. And poor Zeke, he's usually happy and giddy, but now he is depressed that his quote-unquote husband just ditched him. And Nox was surprised about the outcome of the fight. Nox was like, so you separated Zeke and the nightmare? That was your plan? And yeah, and Baku approaches Zeke, and he's asking, Zeke, like, so you didn't have the capsule after all, didn't you? And Zeke is all pouting. He's like, no, I never had it. And I don't even know who has it, so don't ask me that. And Baku is like, oh, well, if Zeke doesn't have it, who does? And then we get to the last scene of the episode where you see the sickly, crazy lady. Like, she looks like she's having a fever. She's barely hanging on. And then you see the Phantom, and she's on the outside of the secret garden, you know, the window and all that. And she says to the sickly, crazy lady that when bad dreams become reality, it's coming soon. And the barrier will also disappear too. And what she means about the barrier, I think it's the barrier between Nem's subconsciousness, which is the secret garden, and the place that the crazy lady and Nox meets is like, you know, like a house or something. So I think it's the barrier between the real world and the world of dreams. That's what what the Phantom meant about this barrier here, like the window, is also going to disappear. So the dream space and the real world will mingle together. And this caused the crazy lady to stand up with her little device in hand and just touches the glass and where, you know, the Phantom's hand is at. And she says, oh, that sounds perfect to me. And that's how the episode ends. Yeah, it's an okay episode. I'm glad to see Autumn is back, even if it's for one time only. Zeke, I don't know what's happening with Zeke. I think I know what's happening. He's turned into a comic relief, and his powers have been downgraded. So anybody from Baku to Nox can easily whip his ass. And now he is separated from the punishment ogre, I don't know if he is able to transform anymore. Does he have his powers anymore? Like, I don't think he has his powers anymore, but can he transform into a Kamen Rider? That's another question. And the reason why I think Baku decided to separate the Nightmare and Zeke, because I think even he knows that Zeke can be a good person. It's just that it's the Nightmare is the one responsible that's twisting his actions and the reason why he is crazy. But remember, he was evil before. But we shall see how Zeke is gonna get used to the fact that, you know, the Nightmare divorced him and probably will go after him soon. And how is he gonna help the other writers now if he does have his powers? So blame Nem for giving Baku the idea that Zeke can change and, you know, and all that stuff. So Zeke, blame it on her. The crazy lady is becoming the sick old lady, and, you know, the old man, Mario and Luigi, it's sad, and something tells me that Luigi's gonna die too in the next episode. The paranormal effects division is back, even though I like to call it the Black Case Files. But regardless, I mean, they were in business in Baku's room. What else? I mean, Zombia is still on the loose, even though the negative effects of them seeing 2D characters and nightmares being all like artsy is gone. Their dreams are still connected, so they need to destroy it. And still, Emo Alexis is still a pile of papers. And yeah, I think that is it, guys. I mean, there's nothing more to be said other than the fights Zeke had between Nox and Baku especially just proves how he's no longer, like, to me he's still a badass, but it's just like comparing to power levels on how he entered the season in his debut, how even his name is like almost like Freddy Krueger, Voldemort type, and now like almost anybody can beat him, unless in the final 10 episodes we see Zeke getting a power up. And now the question is, will Zeke get a power up before the season ends? I'm hoping that he does, but something tells me that he won't. But he needs to it in order to be, go head to toe with a Nox or a Baku especially. But once Baku turns to extreme, I mean, it's pretty much game over for him, regardless if he gets a power up or not. Which I never thought I'd say this here, but I never thought that I would be annoyed by a final form before. And then along came Extreme, and I'm like, I'm already annoyed by this form. Because how can I or anybody else beat someone with that, form? Like, I find it to be impossible because he can rewrite a dream to one's advantage. I could be winning at one point, but then all of a sudden I go back to point A only to get beat up by Baku. So I don't know. This is the first time I ever felt this way about a final form being all OP, because like, how can anybody, villain or otherwise, can beat Extreme? Which leads to the Ogre Nightmares. I hope they have some kind of ability that can counteract Baku's extreme powers to be like an even playing field. In the next episode, we see both Nox and Baku tag teaming for the first time, beating up the Punishment Ogre. Now, I don't think he's going to get destroyed because, I mean, it will be a huge waste if he ends up getting destroyed in the next episode. It's just going to be a waste. So I get the feeling that he's going to get beat up, but he's going to escape. And then I believe with all the Ogre Nightmares united in one front, I believe that they will fuse together to become the final boss and be able to take down Baku, Nox, and Zeke. But ultimately, our heroes will prevail. But I get the feeling that the final boss, which I thought it was Emo Alexis, it's not the case now. So I'm getting the feeling that the Ogre Nightmares will fuse together into one ultimate Ogre Nightmare to do this one final fight between, Baku, Nox, and Zeke and whatnot. That's the way I'm picturing it right now. But who knows? Maybe Yuya will have a couple of surprises, and maybe Emo Alexis will return from the grave, or in this case, a pile of papers. Maybe Agent 5 and 6 will return. I don't know. You never know. Because look what happened in Gov. Dr. Nick came back, but as a Frankensteinian zombie. So anything can happen. But I'm starting to ramble now, so this is my cue to close it up. So, if you've seen episode 39, the real episode 39, let me know. Did you like it? Did you dislike it? Did I miss anything? Even though I have my notes in front of me, I may have missed a couple of things here and there. You never know. Give it a like if you like it, and please subscribe. And I will see you all on the other side of Oblivion. Johnny!